Hello, everybody.
Hi guys, hope you're all good.
Hope you've had a lovely week. Hope you enjoyed listening last week. We had a cracker of an episode, and we're in for another one today.
I don't know how we keep scoring these guests. This one is, I say this every time, I'm excited for this one.
We're both very excited.
We are.
We are on season 1, episode 19. We're just calling it the season overview with a very special guest, and then I'm going to pass over to Afton to do the introduction.
So, this person, they were personally a competitive ice dancer. They were a pre-precision judge, and a judge, referee, and controller for dance and synchro. They judged at the first World Synchronized Skating Championships in 2000. They were an Olympic ice dance official at Sochi in 2014, and they were a medal presenter at Pyeongchang in the 2018 Olympics. I'm not finished, by the way. They were the chair of the Synchronized Skating Technical Committee from 2010 to 2018, involved in some huge rule changes, and a key player in starting the World Championships and the Julia Challenge Cups. I am going to say they did bring in the spin element, and we're just going to leave that there. I'm not quite sure about that, but we'll get into that. They've worked with many, many, many teams and coaches all around the world, including Haydenettes, Paradise, Icicles, Les Supremes, and they've even started They even helped start Team Berlin. They were the longest serving synchronized skating judge in the world. So I would be absolutely honoured to welcome to the podcast, Chris Buchanan.
Hi, guys.
Hello. Thank you.
It's only going to be downhill from here on in.
No. No, absolutely not. So I have been, I don't want to say subject to, and so Sabrina, but I have been subject to Chris's coaching, if you like, for many, many years. Coaching, guiding, whatever you want to call it.
Possibly slightly aggressive helping.
There we go. I like that one. So now the turntables have turned, Chris, and you are going to be subject to my aggressive questioning for the next hour or two.
Go for it.
So, welcome to the podcast. We're going to do something a little bit different this episode, and we're going to start it with a little icebreaker to see where Chris's opinions are at before we get into the questions. So we're going to do a little yay or nay round. Brie, would you like to start us off?
I shall. So it's just the one word, yay or nay, depending on where you think you stand on these options. So our first one is beige boots.
Nay.
Good answer. Costumes with gloves.
Yay.
Yeah. The open no hold that was in junior this season.
Nay.
Oh. Difficult death spiral exits that look more and more like falls.
Maybe.
Okay.
I can elaborate.
Okay.
We'll get to that. I think we've got that later. We will definitely.
Well executed and aren't falls, yay. If they do look like falls, nay.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair answer.
Okay. The complex intersection patterns.
Nay.
Ooh, the pivoting block either in a pyramid or a diamond.
Yay.
Going a bit old school here. Ina Bauer lines.
Yay. On an edge.
Yes.
Yeah. Double rotation jump features.
Yay. For the audience.
Okay. Oh, dear.
Not for the skater.
No.
That's why we're no longer doing it.
It's not. It isn't a team skill. It's an individual skill, but it's something for the audience. We have to give the audience something. They pay the money.
All right. They do. Okay. Teams of 16 at the Olympics.
Yay.
Teams of 12 at the Olympics.
Nay.
Yes. Alrighty. I feel like we're on the same page. So
Yeah,
let's
I think we are.
you passed the test. You can now proceed to the
You're
general
allowed to
questions.
continue. Yeah.
Oh, really? I didn't realize that was the option, that I could maybe get out of the next bit.
We've cornered him. He's here. He's stuck.
Alrighty. We're going to start off with some general synchro questions. We want to learn a little bit about your opinion and your kind of memories of synchros. So, what was your very first memory of synchro?
Synchro or precision?
Let's go.
Please don't do this to me.
Let's go synchro.
When we changed the name, it was at the point where we were looking for more recognition by the other ISU disciplines. And precision had a connotation in people's minds that it was a group of people who were just marching around on the ice with no skating skills. And what we wanted to do was to move away from that. That didn't mean that we didn't want the unison, but what we wanted to get away from was, marching around like tin soldiers on upright blades with really no flow. Some of the precision skills were impressive, but it was a bit more like a marching band, with the way things worked. People should look back and have a look at, there's a recording of, I think it's Haydenets doing Swan Lake back in 1983, I think, 84. And it's quite impressive. They have 32 skaters on the ice, though.
32?
Yes.
That's crazy.
But it's worth looking at, because there are things that they were doing, the things that they achieved that were quite impressive, but it wasn't competitive figure skating. And that's where we wanted to be. There was always the ambition to get the discipline into the Olympics, but it couldn't possibly get in the way it was being executed in those days. So it was the first step towards a change, and a significant change in the whole approach.
Amazing.
Driven very much by Europe, by the way. So it wasn't an easy change.
And I would argue that we're still trying to fight that change.
No, what we're trying to fight now is acceptance. Now, I was involved in doing 2 applications to get synchro into the Olympics. And
You did the very first one, didn't you?
And the second one as well, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a hugely demanding process. And we did everything that was needed. They liked the discipline. The thing that stopped us getting in finally, although we would have been in this Olympics, was the IOC's own rule that they passed at their own Congress, that there was a top end limit to the number of competitors at the Winter Games.
I thought that was it. I'd heard rumours, but that's interesting to hear it confirmed.
We tried, we did everything. We provided them with all of the analysis, the demographics, the media information, the history, the fact that we would fill the rink for 2 days. We guaranteed sellout of the event. We offered not to take up space in the Olympic Village. We said we'd come late. So there were all kinds of things to try and get over that. But just the same as the ISU, if we pass rules at Congress, then you have to abide by the rules. It's the same with the IOC. When they pass rules at their Congress, they have to abide by them.
Those are it.
So that was why. So it wasn't that they didn't like the discipline, because we had them at a number of our events. It wasn't that the rules weren't good. We actually helped them with the balance between male and female competitors.
Yeah, I bet.
Because currently there is quite a significant imbalance. And you can imagine if you're taking in, 10 teams, 12 teams, because it wasn't, every country wouldn't have been able to go. You would have to qualify to get to Olympics for the number of places. And it was going to be 1 team per country.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Cutthroat.
Just as an aside for some of the listeners, I did actually notify the Finnish Federation that if we did get in and they were having a national qualifier for which team was going, I was not available for that particular event because
Like,
there
I
would
don't want to be there.
there would be blood on the blood on the ice by the end of it.
Oh,
But
I can imagine.
I can't actually believe that. That's insane.
but they probably would have had a national team, so they may have brought a single
Yeah.
team together. Although
Yeah.
doing that has its challenges.
Mm.
Sometimes it's better to go with an established team.
It's a whole different
I think a
ballgame,
number
that
of
one.
other countries may have gone with a national team to get more high standard skaters in, but I think Finland has enough, so it may have just been.
Just
It
about.
could just have been a battle to the death for the Finnish place at the Olympics.
Yeah.
And
That's
we
Agreed.
also
insane.
offered them mixed teams as well. So we said it can either be all female, if that's what you want. It can be mixed teams with 14 girls, two boys. And the alternates, there would only be two alternates, not four alternates. So you'd have to have a boy alternate and a girl alternate in case something
Oh,
happened
wow.
to them at the event.
So if the boy got out, then you'd have to swap him in
Yeah,
for the boy
we
alternate.
tried everything.
And I just still know.
Gosh.
Oh, dear.
Okay. Well, let's talk about
ongoing
what drew
challenge.
you to the sport and what's kept you involved for all these years.
When I first moved to London for work, I was already a judge for ice dance at that point. And I moved into, and my nearest rink was Lee Valley at the time. So I went along to Lee Valley to find out if they had a club. I used to be the chairman of Altrincham Club, and when I moved down, I was just looking for another club to join. But they didn't have the same setup as say an Altrincham would have, or a Streatham or a Queen's. It was only for the teams. But they had teams who were competing in what I would describe now as Bally sur la glace. Theatre on ice.
Okay.
So they had a team,
okay.
and there was a little circuit in Europe, and the competition was the Golden Apple. And people and teams would come to Lee Valley. Lee Valley would go to Rouen. They would go. So there were a number of other teams and rinks and countries involved. So that was going for 2 or 3 years, and then there was this suggestion of a different competition, and it was coming from the States. Was the original driver, and it was precision skating. So having a team, we thought, oh, we'll give that a go. And because I was already a judge at the rink, and they'd asked me if I would go and judge these Golden Apple events or judge them at Lee Valley, they said, "Oh, can you find out? Can I find out what's going on?" So we did, and then the rules, of course, were very different in those days. You only had one program, but when you went to a competition, you skated the same program twice, and you had flights. So you skated the program, and then you would be divided into the gold flight or the silver flight. The top, say it's 20 teams. Top 10 teams would be in the gold flight, and the next 10 teams would be in the silver flight. And then you would skate the program again to get your final placing. Now, what happened then was that teams who were maybe around 8th, 9th, 10th were sometimes a little unhappy and would rather have been in the silver flight, because at least they would then go home with a medal or a trophy. Whereas if they're in the gold flight, then they went home with nothing. So there was a bit of gamesmanship used to go on, in that kind of region. And that was the start. And I remember being the first we did a competition in the States, Snowflake it was, and that was the first precision competition that we did. And then I remember doing one in Helsinki, and that was another big competition at the time. And then the whole thing just started rolling from there. More countries got involved, more skaters, more teams. So, so from the very start, we went through the precision skating, which was different to the theatre on ice. Now, of course, theatre on ice has now developed into its own discipline, and
Both different though. Can we just agree on that? Very different, theatre on ice and synchro.
oh, absolutely. I remember being asked to do at the very, very early days. I did a couple of theatre on ice things, and my abiding memory is actually being asked to judge a program where part of the program was there were 4 girls sitting on stools, with cigarette holders. Are you too young to remember what cigarette holders?
No.
Cigarette holders just sitting on the stools, and they didn't actually go onto the ice at all. But this was all part of the performance, and people had scenery on the ice as well. So this is part of what they were doing. It was supposed to be a nightclub type scene.
So very, very different.
How can I be judging skating when they don't actually put a blade on the ice? So now it's developed into its own discipline. But for me, it's very much something, if you have a club or a group who enjoy doing Christmas show type things, then that's an ideal place. So you're comparing Christmas shows one to the other. Now people will probably be screaming at the
It's okay. It's all right. We aim our podcast at synchro skaters.
But that truly is. I know I've been asked since. Wouldn't I consider judging theatre on ice even now? Even though because I'm too old to do other things, I could still do theatre on ice. And I said, really, it's not my thing. So
do you think the synchro and the precision, you're not necessarily drawn to the judging side of it, you are drawn to the sport itself?
I enjoyed it. And people said, yes, but you were an ice dance judge. Why did you get involved? I got involved because I was asked to help with the team, because they needed to improve their skating skills and stuff. So just as, I've said to you, Afton, what one can be helpful, maybe aggressively helpful, but, so helping with that, with the team and making sure that things were getting better and why they wouldn't necessarily be getting the points. Because in those days, it was 6-0. So it wasn't the IGS system.
I think having ice dance impact, you can see all the teams that are doing well have ice dance impact, right? And we spoke to Teams Elite last week, and they have one of their coaches is an ice dancer. So
I've helped Team Elite Junior as well. So Jamie White came to me and asked if I could get some help.
Yeah.
So I helped them. I used to help look at the programs. We did Zoom calls, so I would look at the training and give my helpful suggestions about what had to happen, what I was seeing from a judge's perspective, obviously. So I'm always very happy to do that. If people are this, but that's not fair because you're helping one, not the other. I have never refused to help anybody that's asked for the help. Never.
Yeah, you're always open to it.
Yeah. And it doesn't matter, where they're from, what country. And you've already mentioned some teams that I've worked with. In fact, with the Canadian teams, Les Supreme, Nexus. I used to work with the Nexus a couple of times a year, particularly when they came over to Dumfries to do the Trophy de Cos. And I would stay on and do a day with them. So happy to do that. And Paradise, I worked with Paradise for 12, 13 years before the current situation.
Yes.
Not since the war.
I always remember you saying to a very young Afton, well, Paradise do it like this, so why can't you? And I always thought in my head, well, Chris,
Did I use those
because
very words? Are you sure? Is that how I put it to you?
that's how 13-year-old Afton
Remembers it.
remembers
Oh.
it.
She
Yeah.
took it.
Oh,
goodness.
funny.
I think it was
Should
probably
we
more,
cast-
if Paradise can do it, there's no reason why you can't do it.
Ah, yes, that was the phrase. That was it. And I was always thinking in my head,
You are
I can
not-
think of many reasons.
There's no genetic reason why they should be any better than anyone else. They just put in the hard work.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
That is
That's
fair.
the thing about skating, isn't it?
It's the
People
hard
find
work.
it hard because it's hard
Yes.
work, and you have to put it in.
And that was
There's no quick fix.
one of the big issues that we had when it came to Olympic inclusion, because quite a number of the teams were saying, "Oh, but we deserve to be in the Olympics," and I said, "There's no deserve. Have you looked at the training that the people in your country do, who are actually going to be going to Olympics? So they're probably doing 20 to 30 hours training a week.
Yeah. So different.
How many hours are you doing, and how many hours are you prepared to do?" And then people, "Oh, yeah, but we can't do that much." So wanting to and deserving to are two different things for me. I will fight. I will fight to the death for the right to be there, but the skaters have to
You
fight
have to
to the
deserve
death
it.
to deserve to be there.
Yeah. Which is so true.
Now,
Okay.
some of the top teams are putting in those hours.
Oh,
yeah.
aren't
Well,
they
they are
just?
absolutely now.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
if they would be deserving representatives at Worlds, at the Olympics for us.
No doubt.
And so that's my little rant on that one.
No, that's okay.
It's okay.
This is the platform to do it.
Yeah, this is what we want to hear, and I'm sure everyone listening wants to hear too.
So don't feel
let's-
entitled, be worthy.
Be worthy. I like that. Be worthy. Let's head towards then, away from the Olympics, but towards the very first World Synchronized Skating Championships that ever happened that you were at.
Well, I'm talking about the championships or the Challenge Cup, the first World Challenge Cup for seniors.
The Worlds in 2000.
Let's do Worlds.
Okay.
Yeah, let's
Yeah.
do Worlds, because that was not when things started to change, but
Things started to change when we had the Challenge Cup.
yeah.
What we had to do was prove ourselves to the ISU that we deserved to have a World Championship.
So that very first World Championships, what was it like for you? Was it an excitement that you'd finally got to have a World Championships? Was it skeptical that you'd got this far? Is it going to keep going? What was the overall feeling like?
It was very similar to having the World Challenge, to be fair. It was, we had fought so hard to get the championship. Because remember, at one point it was only every 2 years. You had a World Challenge one year, you had a championship the next year. For us, it made no difference. It was the same. For the skaters, I know that the title, even the people who won the World Challenge would still call themselves world champions. But to have the official ISU, and you got the ISU medals, you got the whole ISU treatment. For them, it was quite special. And for us, we were just doing more of the same. But we were so happy that we had finally got that particular recognition, managed to achieve that recognition within the ISU for the discipline. Because at one point we were told, well, no, what, you want a world championship? Oh, I don't think. So many people would describe it as hobby skating.
And I think still blinking
Yeah.
do.
Yep.
And it winds me up.
Yeah.
That's because most people haven't seen top level synchro.
Yeah.
Give me one single skater or even a pair skater that would try it and not be like, oh, that's harder than I
We've
thought."
done it. We've put them in team. We've taken people at Worlds when we've had teams demonstrating. on the exhibitions and things, we've put the competitors, and they come away with a very different attitude to the synchro team skaters to the one they may have arrived with.
That's
And
what
I've said,
we've got to keep changing.
yep. And one of my ambitions, which was coming to fruition, was that I should be able to take any of the skaters from, let's say the top 5 teams in the world, and take any of the individual skaters, put them side by side with any of the dancers from Worlds, and ask them to do a step series, and you shouldn't be able to tell the difference. And we were getting there. We've gone backwards slightly, but we were getting there, so that the quality of the skating was there.
Yeah,
And nobody could deny it.
absolutely.
And if we look to compare the first World,
Sorry,
the
back,
World
I
Championships.
told you I'll keep going down rabbit holes.
No, that's okay. That's what we're here for, to
Bring you back on track. Yeah, so the first Worlds, it was exciting because it was the first Worlds. It was also, well, remember, I was also judging and being a referee for dance. So I'd already had the Worlds, the ISU Worlds experience.
True.
But for the skaters, they saw a difference between having been at the World Challenge Cup to being at the World Championships.
And if we look to those first ones and then we look to them now, what do you think the main differences are? Obviously, the quality of skating has improved massively, but do you see any other differences?
Quality, complexity, individual skills, and choreography.
Yeah.
Do you think it's gone too complex and too...
For some teams, you have lost the concept of it being a team sport. It should not just be 16 skaters who are on the ice at the same time, kind of doing the same things, but you do not get the sense of the team. Now, the team aspect is something that is unique for synchro skating, and we are sometimes giving that away too much.
I know that's what I was drawn to, like the shapes and doing everything together, and you can still have that ability as an individual skater, but make those shapes and make everything happen as a team.
But you have to have a balance, because if you watch a lot of synchro programs, and particularly some of the ones back in the the 90s and the early noughties, you just had a group of people who just went around the ice. And there was very little visual interest in the upper area, the lower area, and very little, but there's still not enough use of the body in synchro. If you look at how the ice dancers are using their bodies, and even the free skaters, now, there's much greater litheness in the bodies, and we need to get that into synchro skating as well. So it shouldn't just be stiff bodies with arms wafting and whatever else. We're seeing, one of the things that still impresses me is some of the things people do on the entries into death spirals. So we are starting to see some of that progress coming, but I still feel that we could do way more with the bodies to make more visual impact, but do it as a team. And it doesn't always have to be the same. You can, if you think about ballet on the stage, all of the dancers don't have to make the same shape. You can make an overall picture using all of the corps de ballet, but it doesn't have to look like rows of soldiers. So making the shapes. Now we're seeing, sometimes at the end of programs, we're starting to see that asymmetry coming in, but it's planned asymmetry, and it can be beautiful. Everything doesn't have to be symmetrical. You need the symmetry most of the time, otherwise it just looks like a mess. But it needs to be asymmetry that is intentional and is
I think
creating a picture.
Paradise do it well, I think, in my opinion. They're very good at that. They clearly
They
have
do.
ballet training.
Yes.
They look like ballerinas on ice.
And yeah, they do. They look like ballerinas on ice,
Yes.
don't they?
Oh,
And
they
I
do,
think
because they have ballet every time before they train. They're in the ballet room
Yeah.
before they come onto the ice to train.
It makes
I think
sense.
also this season we've maybe seen some of what you're talking about. What comes to my mind instantly is Les Supremes Junior, their group lift that they did that was like the wave.
Yes. So now, so exactly that. Now you're starting to see people not only using the bodies, but using the numbers
Yeah.
in order to create a visual effect.
And that's where we're so different.
That's a strength that Synchro has not yet fully exploited.
Yeah, 100%.
They'll send people off skating individually to try and create an effect, but we're not getting that group effect. And that's something that having 16 skaters allows you to do.
Yeah.
I'm going to say I hate the single skaters personally going off and doing their
Well,
thing. I think it's not what Synchro is. But that's just, well, according to me.
That's not the fault of the choreographers or the coaches or the skaters. That is a decision that was made in the rules in order to get...
To have that as a feature.
Yes, and I would not have had that as a feature, to be honest.
That's so interesting.
I just don't want a random skater doing an axel.
It just looks random.
Well,
Yeah, well,
I just don't get it.
like all the double axles at
Yeah.
the moment going on. It's like, wow, that was
It's like
cool,
great, but
but random.
If you have a whole team jumping,
Yeah.
no, but remember that you've got to think from the audience point of view.
100%.
That's impressive, because when you get that unison of the whole team, when you've got a whole team jumping badly, it's not so great. And it's the same with the spins. When you get the whole team spinning, now I think the spin rule is now unhelpful. When we were working towards having absolute unison with 16 people spinning absolutely together. Now, Surprise did it way back. They did a gladiator program or something, and they did an impeccable 16 skaters in unison rotating. Hot Shivers did it one. Now, people complained one year. They said, "Oh yes, but they're spinning slowly." It was beautiful. It was beautifully done.
perfect.
The music. It doesn't have to be fast spins. What you're looking for is controlled spinning and creating the effect. Paradise did it. So, and then all of these junior teams. I think it was 2 seasons after we introduced the spin, when Andrea Gilardi, who is actually a good friend, and I have a lot of respect for Andrea's choreography. He is a very thoughtful, and he has subtle choreography. It's not just always in your face, but uses the music really beautifully. But Andrea was so bitterly against the group spin. And then it was 2 years later at Junior Worlds when his teams were there, and it was actually a number of the Russian teams came in, and they were amazing on the group spins. And it was one of those moments which is very unlike me, when I said to Andrea, "Well, I told you so." And then the senior teams were catching up to them.
Yeah.
I feel like with things like the spin, I joke about it a lot on this, but I 100% agree. When they're in sync, when they look like that, they're stunning. But
that was the intention of the element. That was always the intention for that element.
A lot of the new
we've gone
features.
too far.
I don't care about. I don't care about the
No.
change of foot. I don't care about the change of position. I want to see a team group spin
in sync, because we're synchronized skaters, and I will go on about this until I die. We are going too far, and I think we look like 16 free skaters sometimes, trying to do these things.
As the person who brought it in the first place, and insisted on bringing it in, the intention always was unison.
Yeah.
Now, if you can give me unison upright, I'd rather have unison upright than 16 people doing a change foot, sit spin, whatever.
Yeah.
Not in unison, but fast. I don't care about fast. I want to see them working as a team. Now, if you can do it in unison and fast, as some teams can do, God bless you, and all
Yeah.
sailing you. We are getting there. But that's
That's
what's
the
impressive.
dream.
That's what impresses the audience. That's what's great for TV. And people
Yes.
see a skill in that. They've seen people. How many years have they seen people spinning? The fact you've got 16 of them, just spinning in some random timing. Now that's being uncut. That being a little harsh and a little unkind. But it isn't what the original concept was.
I think we peaked in like 2015 to 18 synchro, in my opinion. Like we were just, in my head, that is my peak of synchro, because we were just, maybe we weren't doing double axles, but we looked like synchronized. Yeah. We just looked really good. The themes, the elements, it was just, I don't know, for me that's peak. But gosh, we have spoken about synchro in general a lot there. So shall we move on to
All I can
programs
say
this
is, 15 to 18, you're welcome.
Yeah. I was just about to say, I was like, yeah, those numbers are adding up to someone being in charge.
I didn't even say that on purpose. It's all you, Chris. It's all you.
Well, really, it's all about me. Yes, yeah.
Right, let's do programs this season.
One thing I will say, when we went through all that Olympic stuff and trying to get them in, I've said to many people that if I could have managed to get synchro into the Olympics whilst I was chair of the committee, then I would happily have just disappeared off into the sunset. Knowing, and there's a reason behind it, because going to Worlds is great. Don't get me wrong. It's a lot of hard work and a lot of commitment, but getting to go to Olympics has a special meaning for everyone, not just skaters.
World, yeah.
So if we manage to get, say, 10 teams, 12 to 200 skaters into the Olympics, that's 200 people who are going back to their families, going back to their schools, to their colleges, going back to their towns,
to their countries,
with that Olympic badge. And
would have changed the sport, wouldn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's something that people take with them forever. They'd be telling their grandchildren, I went to the Olympics. And being able to do that for so many people and have that impact would have been incredibly rewarding for me.
Hey, it's not over yet.
No, absolutely not.
There's many people wanting to fight that fight. I know.
Yes, but you have to put the work in to get the application done.
Yeah.
You do.
And it's a lot of work.
It's hard work that you've put in twice.
I'm not sure that work is being put in at the moment. I could be wrong.
Okay.
I'd love to be proved wrong, but I'm not sure it is being put in.
What a deep dive into general synchro.
I love this. There's also like a little bit of gossip too.
Yeah, I love it.
I told you I can say whatever I want now.
Yeah, you've got no worries now. I love it.
Shall we talk programs this season?
Yes, let's go.
This is a very big question that we're about to ask you. What do you think to the themes this season?
I'm sick and tired of programs with a holier than thou message. I don't need to be preached at.
I wish you could see me because I'm bright red right now.
That is entertaining. Don't give me something that's depressing. It doesn't have to be happy clappy. You can have the most beautiful programs to some extraordinary music. But I don't need somebody
Absolutely.
telling me about, save the planet, do this, whatever else. No, enough.
I think this is
And it's not,
exactly the answer we were looking for.
it's not just, and
Yeah,
it's not
because
just in synchro. It's happening, in other things, in dance programs as well. I've had enough of it.
So Brie and I have both said we like how in dance, at least in the short program, they are dictated to what they can pick, and we think that would be great for synchro because it's getting a bit too far now. Like we're
We've
getting.
said that for many years, and there was always pushback from the coaches conference at Worlds about having a theme. But I would be quite happy to have a theme because then it gives you a better basis for. We don't, of course, we don't compare when we're judging. We mark what we see,
Yeah.
but it would also be interesting to see the different interpretations that people could come up with.
100%. Also, human bias, like it's always going to be there, isn't it? We're in a subjective sport
Absolutely.
at the end of the
Yep.
day. We're marked on what we look like if we really boil down to it. So
It's visual. It's like
interesting.
going if you go to see dance at the theatre. You are not looking at the dancers as individuals. What did they have for breakfast? What's going on outside in their lives. You're looking at what they're presenting you with as a performance, as a visual spectacle. That's what skating is.
Yeah.
It isn't brain surgery. It's not brain surgery. Nobody's going to die. If
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
program's
bit of
bad,
perspective.
yes. Now of course, you have some bad falls and things, so I'm not
Oh, of
not
course.
minimizing that. There have been some horrible accidents and whatever, but we're not feeding the hungry. We're not bringing world peace. But I will say, looking at the state of the world at the moment, maybe they should let the skaters run things because we managed to get along. Okay, we don't always agree on everything, but we get along.
Sorry, is that Chris Buchanan for president? Did I hear that?
Well, it can't be worse than the Joker they've got at the moment.
Oh boy, do I wish we could talk more politics on
Oh.
here. Oh my gosh.
That is just scary.
Right, what were your favourites this season, programme-wise? Junior or senior, or any you've seen?
This season's been quite rich, both with the juniors. I must admit, I did like elite juniors. I think they were deserving winners. They've been working hard for a long time to get there.
Yeah.
But there were also some other really lovely programs. Elite managed to combine difficulty, interesting choreography, good choice, and didn't make any mistakes. And now that's becoming more and more critical because the margins are getting so tight at the top, and they always have been in seniors, but now even in juniors they are getting so tight. But there were really good performances. The Finns were good. The Americans, I liked the programs. We didn't have too many, with a message programs. And the choreography, you could take those top 5 juniors and put them in seniors without a problem.
And they'd whoop a few asses,
Absolutely,
wouldn't they?
yes.
Yeah.
They really, and very often the juniors are doing things which are more challenging and more inventive.
You have juniors that are doing 2-person lifts, and you've got seniors that are doing 5-person lifts. Enough said on that for me.
I guess that comes down to the age thing too. I wonder, younger skaters are more willing to try new stuff. Do you think there's less of a fear factor?
I can tell you when I was competing in ice dance, if I did a double twizzle, I thought I was a hero of our age. It was, and when we started bringing twizzle elements into ice dance, when people were doing double twizzles, 2 sets of double twizzles, that was the requirement. Then it was into triple twizzles, and now you've got novice skaters, and never mind the juniors. But then the juniors and novice were coming along, and they were just they were so used to doing the element. Let's say
That's a good
it was
point.
like, how many rotations do you want? Do you want 5, 6? How many? And for them, just boom, 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 boom. Whereas, old farts like me, it was, I say, like, okay, stop showing off. I remember. And
What about?
so,
Wait, you go. Sorry.
so those things and introducing allowing the juniors to do lifts, I think was a wise thing, because it prepares them for going into senior. Because
So much.
Yeah, I
part
agree.
of the problem we had with seniors and suddenly having to lift and never having lifted before, we had a lot of things go wrong, dangerously go wrong. But now with the juniors getting that training on lifts going in, we're going to see some quite spectacular lifts going forward, and that's great for the audience. Love the lifts.
Yeah, absolutely. What about in seniors? Obviously, worlds
Well,
is still yet to come, but are there any programs there?
Isn't that going to be interesting? Because I know you maybe mentioned about having the top 3. I think this year
Yes, I know what you're gonna say.
the top group, when they go in to do the free program, anyone, and I mean anyone,
Yeah,
could win.
it's anyone's game.
We'll wait out on predictions till the
Yeah,
end.
no,
'cause
but
that's-
but quality and the variety, and the creativeness that's coming through is that, oh yes.
Have you got any favourites?
I like Unique's program.
It's a common fave this year.
And I normally I do like Roquettes, but there's some parts of that program that Casa has come up with some cracking stuff. But
Yeah.
the overall program is a little too dispersed for me.
Yeah,
Okay.
Not quite enough work as a team.
as one.
Yeah.
Do you like
I'd like to see a little
the
bit more
ending
of
on the
that.
boards?
Oh, yeah. It reminds me of a funny story, but I'll tell you about that. Because in dance, remember, people in dance, in the choreo step and dance, people are using the barriers a lot. So
Yeah.
I'm quite
I
used to
like
that.
it personally.
But we had a French couple in Andorra, and I was the controller at the competition. In the practice, they did their midline choreo step straight to, from the judges' side to go away across the ice. But they were doing a circus theme. By the way, I hate circus themes. And anything with anybody with pointing guns and with the hands, no.
Fair
Fair,
enough.
honestly. Yeah.
No, so over that. Now you can use James Bond music or something. That's great. There's
Just don't point your fingers.
yeah. Don't. I mean, it's so cliched. I don't want cliches. We've got the Phoebe and James, British ice dance couple, who are doing, and it's fab because they're skating. They're using the music, but they're really just skating to it, and they're giving the story through the skating, not through pretending to have a secret agent gun doing pointing out. But this couple, I was telling you, they started the choreo element. They were hiding down below the barrier, and then they jumped up and said, well, like with clowns with circus hands. So when they were doing the practice, they were down below the barrier. We were sitting there, the technical panel, and they jumped up, and we said, bonjour, and they went, and fell over. So we thought, better not do that in the competition, because that's not going to go well. For some reason, I don't think they realised that the people on the panels can't actually speak.
You guys always look so serious.
Statues there.
You do. You look so serious. I
can't
remember
believe
like one.
And people have the impression that we're really serious and we're talking about this and usually talk about what we're going to have for lunch.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. Are you not allowed to smile at us? Is that
I
true?
do smile at you. I do.
Yeah, I would say at Worlds last year, 100%, you were smiling as icicles
you.
were skating around.
Yeah, okay, I take it
Thank
back.
you.
But
I
in
rest
general,
my case.
so why do judges and the
Because
panel not smile? I'd like
the
wink at
teams
them.
don't interact with the judges enough. Draw them into.
Do you think
draw them
judges
into,
want to see more?
Yeah, draw them into the performance. Make them enjoy it. Then they'll smile.
Okay.
Getting the inside info here.
Are there any that you particularly don't like and want to talk about? Themes?
Well, we've already talked about programs with a message.
Yeah.
We'll
leave it
I really
there.
could do with that now. Now talking about ones we don't like, the one thing that I would say you'd expect me to think that some of the teams at the bottom are a bit dodgy and grungy, but the quality of the teams, even maybe in the last group, has improved so much.
Couldn't agree
And
more.
new teams coming in. I think last year at Junior Worlds we had the New Zealand team, and they did really well. And they hadn't been out for years, and skated really well. So people are coming far better prepared for Worlds now. And there was a time when we'd get teams that could barely get through the program, and it was have you actually skated together before you came to Worlds? Have you ever done this program and run through the program? Because it didn't look like it. We don't have that now. Oh, some of it was shocking.
We're all knowing what you're talking about. I've got really pinpointed examples in my head right now.
And we have to sit there and then judge it. You just get to look at it and say, no.
If anyone's wondering what we're talking about, just go look at 2013 Synchro Worlds and watch the last
group,
groups.
Yes.
11 to 14 Synchro
What
Worlds.
wasn't glorious, no.
No.
But we also had quite a lot of new countries coming in. That's the other thing.
Yeah.
There's been a significant expansion in countries, and we forget here now. At one point, when we were, if we go back to, in the UK, we got down to a time when we maybe had 3 or 4 teams in the whole country, and it took a huge amount of effort and work to build it up and build it up. And one of the people who, I have to say, God bless her, Judy Clinton. Judy and I worked hard together. But Judy was, she was a powerhouse in coming up with ideas, or, we would put on small events to get more teams, more practice, rather than just have 2 events a year that they could skate in. Because you've got to give people events, you've got to give them some competitions.
And look at Synchro in the UK now.
That's incredible.
Probably about 90 teams.
Amazing.
For people that don't come from the UK that are listening, you've got a World Championships, a national champs that goes across 3 days, approaching 4 really
4
now.
days, yeah.
You've got national competitions all throughout the season. You've got teams travelling abroad. You've got multiple junior teams at a good level, approaching multiple senior teams.
We have
mental.
multiple senior teams. Because we had 3 in the Steel City Trophy, and there's another one that's 4.
Yeah.
They didn't all come to Steel City.
So it's, God, from when I first started, we were the only junior team pretty much. It's crazy. So the sport is growing very quickly and very vastly, isn't it? And it's just interesting to be a part of it.
Well, it offers something. People can enjoy skating. They may come along and, it's fun. But for some people, making them stand in the middle of the ice, even if it's with a partner, but if you're standing in the middle of the ice, music goes on and somebody says, perform, it doesn't suit everyone. And you get some people who are great in practice, but as soon as it comes to a competition, it's not great. However, put them into a team environment and they thrive.
Yeah.
You're looking at 2 of them.
There's lots of other things, other advantages with that Synchro being a synchro team member brings. But that one, it's giving people an opportunity to be involved and enjoy competing, and not stand there like a deer in the headlights thing.
Yes,
Beam
absolutely.
me up, Scotty. I don't want to do this.
Horrified. Had enough.
Yes.
By myself. No, thank you.
My mum made me do this.
Yeah. All right. Maybe continuing on more
But yeah,
about
back to the
the
plot.
season then.
Apologies.
We're loving these tangents. This is fabulous. This is exactly what we wanted. But we will continue looking to this season. What elements do you think have been done particularly well this season? Are there any specific ones?
There's one team entry into the death spiral. Great. And others who do really interesting entries into the death. So that for me has been good. And some of the creativity we're getting in the creative lifts.
Yeah.
That's been good.
Yeah.
There's some pretty amazing things.
Things like the moves elements are, people are really starting to nail that. In the past, when people were doing the change of place, the duck under change of place, that was sometimes fraught with challenges. But now people are kind of getting that. And the same with the intersections, the whip intersection, the angled intersection.
On one foot.
Yeah. People are doing those so well with so much speed. I remember when the angled intersection was first done and introduced, people thought we were going to die when they did the angled intersection. And now,
Valid.
now they're, they've worked it out. It's the same with the pivoting blocks. People worked out. There was a lot of different ways of doing it, and then finally, people kept watching the ones that were being successful, and then copying that. Nothing wrong with that, by the way. Something's working.
You found the good recipe.
Absolutely.
Follow it.
Yeah.
What about elements that you think aren't perhaps done so well?
I don't like this open block thing.
Agree.
Yeah. It's generally quite messy, and why?
Yeah. Change for change's sake. It wasn't broke. Why did we try and fix it? Kind of thing.
No, for me, it's bleh.
We had a couple of people on the Instagram reply to about that open block, and saying they just find the whole thing struggling with spacing issues, and you're running out of room, and you can't go as fast.
It isn't impressive. It's what's it bringing? As you say, it's change. We have to keep giving options and trying things out. Now, I did the same. We did the same. And bringing in things like interacting pivoting lines. That was something that was tried. Then people got a bit bored with that because everybody had doing it.
Oh, bring back a line. Though.
Oh, we did. There is a lot. There
was this year, yeah.
But
and somebody did,
like an OG line.
Somebody did an interacting pivoting line. The show was like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
because we hadn't seen it for a long time. What we have to be careful about is all programs looking the same. And there was a period where people said, oh yes, but they're all looking the same. I said, yeah, because the rules that you're putting out now don't give any scope for doing anything other than one way of doing the most difficult content for an element to get the highest level. And if there's only one way of getting the highest level, that's what everybody's going to do. And then you say, oh, they all look the same. Oh, well, no, Sherlock,
It's all right, we can swear on this podcast. We put a little explicit thing on.
I didn't know. One thing, anyone who knows me out there in skating land will know that they've never heard me swear. I don't swear.
Yeah, I've never heard you swear.
I never do.
You've got pretty angry at us and you've never swore.
Angry? No, I don't just get emotion, just...
Yeah, invested. We weren't good enough, it's okay. We appreciated the anger, we needed it. So we did ask a little bit more of questions to our listeners. One of those was, what did they think the most common mistakes were this season? They said twizzles, intersections, lifts, spins. What are your thoughts?
Those are just errors. That's errors in execution. But I think the most common error is one where they aren't changing configuration between two elements. And they find that they then don't get the second element because they haven't read the rules. But I've always worked on the principle of no one should be losing because they don't understand the rule. Some of the rule changes we've had recently, and particularly this year, have been particularly sneaky, in my opinion. And we have to remember that for us, it's fine. English is our first language. Although,
Valid.
although what comes out from the ISU English is not English. And you may not believe it, but I do actually have a degree in English. And I would be told when we were putting the rules together to be published, they would come back saying, no, you need to word it this way. And I was like, but that isn't English. Oh, no, but this is what people will understand as ISU English. And it's a bit like American English.
Oh my goodness.
There is no such thing. There is, we know what the language says. You've taken, and American English, if you continue to mess up and do what you're trying to do, we'll take it back. You can find your own language, but you're not having
I love.
And same with ISU English. No.
That's hilarious, though.
So I was being told as a qualified, and I taught English.
I was going to say, also a native English speaker.
Taught English and taught English grammar to people.
Oh my goodness.
This is not correct. Give me a break. So sometimes the wording is interesting.
Yes.
But I will say,
Yes.
usually, Kathy Dalton on the committee, absolute diamond of a woman. I have nothing but the greatest respect for Kathy and great fondness for her. And she worked so hard. And you can see Kathy, I can see Kathy now just shaking her head. No, we'll have to do this. Oh, we're going to have to do this. She'd try and talk me back in from the ledge. And I was going off the deep end about these kind of things.
Nothing wrong with being passionate.
Oh, no, yes. But, as I say, can't thank Kathy enough for keeping me sane at times.
That does segue us nicely onto the question about confusing rules.
Oh,
yes, it does.
Yeah, well, there are a couple this year.
Yeah. We asked the people, and the people said complex entry for intersection.
Yeah, because
that was pretty much.
The problem is it's an opinion. You can get variation because someone will think it is complex, someone will not. Now, there are some definitions, but again, it's people's interpretation of the definition. And that is never a recipe for a happy outcome. And there should never be situations where people have been, I've been at a competition and I've been told by the controller or told by someone on the technical committee that this is what we should be doing. You can't do that. You have to make that information public. Either put it out in Q&A and publish it. You cannot just pass things around by word of mouth. Because otherwise you get the old, in the war, the message was going down the line, send reinforcements, we're going to advance. And the message that ended up there was send 2 reinforcements, we're going to advance. It's the same thing. So you cannot rely on word of mouth, and you cannot have rules disseminated by word of mouth. It isn't fair. And also the way the wording is published, you have to remember that the vast majority of the people participating are not native speakers. So it has to be very, very clear. Not I'm not talking about making it, for an idiot, but it has to be clear and unambiguous.
Yeah, it's the key,
And
isn't it?
and there are rules at the moment which are not. Yeah, I can read it and, okay, I've had a fair bit of experience understanding the rules, but I'm looking at some now and I think, there's going to be people who don't get this.
Yeah,
And that's happened.
absolutely.
And people are getting, they're getting the exclamation marks, they're getting, the warnings.
We saw a lot of them. We did a PDF review a couple of weeks ago.
There's a lot in the
And
travel
for
element.
Worlds, there was a lot.
And that's because people haven't got, they didn't get it, what they were. And the rules are almost being used as a weapon against people, and that's wrong for me. That is just wrong. We want the rules to be clear, and then I just want the best team on the day to win. And we all have good days, we all have bad days. And what I tell judges in our initial judges meeting, the pre-event meetings, is when you go out there, it doesn't matter who they are, what they've done before, you judge what they do today. Because all skaters, whether it's a team, whether it's an individual, whether it's a couple or a pair, they know when they've had a good day at the office and they've skated well. But they also know when they haven't had a good day at the office. So if the marks you're putting up are marks, for reputation, or you don't mark, what's worse is you don't mark someone and give them credit for what they have done, then all that does is confirm that either you're not an honest judge or you are not a competent judge. Because
do you think we're seeing marking for reputation at
oh,
the
we've
minute?
always had that. We've always seen some marking for reputation.
Do you think it's more now, or do you think it's just the same?
There are more checks and balances now. There's far more analysis of the marks being done. They're using some AI tools within the ISU for ISU level competitions. So they look at judges marking, and there is checking on the range of marks you're using, the differential, looking for collusion with groups of judges. They will look for, obviously, bias, either national bias or anti-national bias, or manipulation bias as well, where you may keep, the mark for your team here, but then anyone around them, you then try and manipulate the marks. So all of that analysis is actually done on the marks by the ISU system.
Okay. Wow.
So it's getting harder for people to do that. But I'm not saying that some people don't mark, and like anything, like teams, you get good teams, you get less able, less experienced teams, and it's the same with judges. You get good judges, you get less experienced judges. What I don't agree with is for a judge to rock up to Judge Worlds and never have been out judging anything for the whole season. Even though they may be qualified, I still think they should have some activity before they're coming out.
Yeah, absolutely.
100%.
It happens a lot. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I feel like we could talk a whole episode about
I don't
judging.
agree with that. I think that they should have activity just to get a sense of, what's happening, what the range of marks should be, where they should. But sometimes it's difficult for the judge because they end up, out of line, so far out of line, they'll get an assessment. And that's not fair for them. So it's not fair for the country to send their judge. It's almost right, into the lines, Dan, and shut the door.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah, good luck. You're on your own. Yeah. See you soon.
Yeah, no,
But it's also not fair on the teams. And the other thing is, getting people who have the ability to recognize quality skating, quality choreography, and a quality performance.
Right, we're going to talk about competitions this season then. We're going to talk about competitions this season now. So it's been about 6 years, we think, since we started the challenges. Do you think that they're achieving the purpose?
Straight into
Go
no.
on.
What
Go
they
on.
have done is they have caused a significant imbalance in the way that they've been introduced. So if you have a challenger event, then generally you will get a lot of entries, but that's starving the other competitions.
Yeah.
What I would have done is I would have had it run in a very similar way to the Grand Prix, where the teams are selected for the different challengers, and that still leaves other teams to be able to enter other non-challenger events.
Yeah.
Okay. I think even this year as well, having them back to back, what did you think to that?
Again, if you look at what happened with Mozart Cup, let's take somebody else's team, somebody else's competition. 1 year it will be feast, and you've got 60 teams, 70 teams, and then the next year when it isn't a challenger anymore, they're struggling to actually break even.
Yeah.
And that's happening with lots of competitions. So I would have had it with a ranking, and when you got into a particular level of ranking, you got the assignments for challengers, and then that of course is going to help your position on the overall merit table, and where you will then be drawn at Worlds, which group you get to draw for Worlds.
Yeah.
Because that's what it's all about. It's getting into those higher groups, and it makes a difference. And we can sit here and philosophize about whether that's a good thing or a bad thing or whatever, but it does make a difference.
Yes.
So people really have to work to get higher up. Now, if you didn't get assigned the challenger, it's probably because you're probably not going to be top 10 or not going to be top whatever. And you could be just outside. It's the same with the people who are doing Grand Prix.
Yeah.
They get to do a certain number of Grand Prix, but they still have to go out and do some other events in order to get the points.
That's the way it should be.
And I would have organized it much more along the lines of the Grand Prix, and then you're not doing anything that is going to damage other events.
Yeah, because as you say, you can definitely see it. I think this year, for us, because we were in Poland last year, and then looking at what happened to, what is it called? Havelius. Looking at Havelius Cup this year, the entries again, it's exactly what you're saying. Like nothing compared to what we saw last year.
So whilst we were fighting hard. Well, actually, one thing I did manage to do was to get Synchro into the Grand Prix series once.
Yeah.
And that was in Barcelona.
Why did it not continue?
Because the teams hadn't had enough time to prepare the programs, and it did not show well. The top teams did, but the rest of the teams did not show well when they were up against the top Grand Prix skaters.
Yeah.
That's why I say they have, then you had to work hard. They have to work hard to deserve to be there.
It also opens the question though about like ice time and that, doesn't it? Synchro isn't provided the same ice time as those top levels, so it's equally working hard 100%, but also being allowed the opportunity to work hard. I think we still do struggle to get
sometimes that. You have to work smart, not just work hard.
Yeah. And we're seeing that in, like, look at Ice on Fire, for example. They are working bloody smart and hard, but, like,
the off-ice
whatever
aspect.
that coach is doing, it's working, and they're not.
Yeah, but the people coaching Ice on Fire are an ice dance couple that I know that I used to judge. So
there you go, ice dance. Ice dance is the way to succeed in synchro.
Ice dance is the best quality skaters.
Yeah,
ice dance rules the world.
It's just beautiful to watch.
Did you have a favourite challenger though? Sorry, Brie.
That's okay. That's exactly what I was going to ask.
Or do you have a favourite one?
This year or last year? This year's?
Yeah, sure.
To be honest, not specifically. That's being very honest. Because you had, a fair mix in each of the challenges. I'm just sorry when it does take away from the other internationals. Because look what happened if you look at Spring Cup, that was
Yeah.
absolutely decimated, and
And for years, that used to be like a mini Worlds.
that's been going for 35 years.
Yeah.
So that worries me.
Do you think they will be making changes to the way they operated then?
That I don't know, but I will be having chats with.
Having words. Gentle suggestions. Aside from challenges, then we've kind of already touched it. Maybe not necessarily this year, but do you have a favourite synchro competition? Not Worlds either.
I always liked the Zagreb Snowflake competition.
Interesting.
That was cancelled this year, wasn't it?
Yes, sadly, there's been a lot. That their main rink was damaged in an earthquake, and they're in the process of repairing, rebuilding, and they have real difficulties in, getting another rink that can accommodate the competition. Mozart Cup has always been lovely.
I like Mozart Cup.
And Salzburg is just a lovely place to be. And,
it's just pretty.
And the people running, as an official there, it's lovely. Really, it's a really nice one to do.
Isn't that 2027 Worlds? Isn't that rink? Yeah, which does blow my mind a bit because there's like no seating.
No, yes, there is.
Not enough for Worlds though. Do you not think?
It's going to be challenging.
Yeah, maybe it'll be like French Cup vibes where everyone's stood up and like. Maybe it'll be a great thing.
So that is going to be challenging, but I'm sure they will put on a good event.
Oh yeah.
Always very well organised. And they treat the teams nicely.
We get a lot of positive feedback about Mozart Cup actually.
Yeah.
A lot of people enjoyed Dresden this year.
Oh yes, and I had the same feedback from people that even though there was a change, they handled everything so well, and they started the teams. Because the rink closed, the rink they were going to hold it at Erika Hesch Stadion was closed down.
Oh.
But I didn't know
that.
But the Dresden Cup was. Sorry, no, that's another. So that was another competition. Sorry. Lying.
Oh, okay. That's
okay.
We just we heard about all the drama with the I don't know how to describe it, the team lists.
Yeah. That was a bit of a disaster by all accounts.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But there's a lot that the organisers have to do.
Oh yeah.
People have no idea the work that goes on behind the scenes to put on a synchro competition. To deal with the sheer number of bodies that arrive, and they're like, "We're here." Hi.
Expecting everything to be perfect, ready to go, but not always the case.
But of course,
no, definitely.
I also like our domestic competitions. So, Trophy de Corse actually has a really nice reputation as well for being friendly. It's being a really friendly competition.
Yeah. The Scots, though, are nice and
well, we are. There's no denying it.
I've loved it.
Warm and welcoming. That's us.
Yeah.
We've touched on it a little bit, but hold on, let me pause. Bree, do you not want to do those ones, do you think?
I don't know. I feel like we've already kind of touched on them anyway.
Oh, you can ask me anything.
Okay.
You can repeat it if you want. If you get the same answer twice, you might not.
True.
I thought it might be worth talking about Senior Worlds predictions because we didn't really do that.
Yeah.
Okay. So, final question talking about competition and this season and stuff. What do you think is going to happen in a few weeks in Helsinki?
It depends on who stands up.
Go on, call it, Chris. Who do you think is going to win? If you had to just go, yeah.
Unique. Although
I agree. Second place?
Les Supreme, but Les Supreme and Unique are, for me,
Neck and neck.
first equal.
Third?
Haydenets, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like third, there's quite a few teams that could be in the running for third.
Yes, and Roquettes will be in the running for it. I mean, I think those four.
Okay.
Because I think the Nova aren't going to be podiuming.
No.
Unless if somebody has a bang in the intersection, somebody's falling on the twizzles, that could be disaster. Because I would say you would not be able to throw a hat over the result for the podium.
Yeah.
And probably for
What about Ice on Fire?
middling.
Middling. Okay. I think they could be like high. That's what I'm gonna say.
Not podium high though.
No, they're second.
I don't think so.
If they get to second group, yeah.
Yeah. Maybe in a couple years' time, but not right now.
Okay.
And also, you've got an issue with Team Passion now advertising and willing to take Russian skaters into the team to allow them.
Do they? How have we missed this, Afton?
Am I giving you news here?
Yeah, you are.
Wow.
How have we missed that?
Oh, pay attention, girls.
Clearly, we're not doing good enough, honestly.
No.
I didn't know that.
Team Passion have advertised and said they're willing to take Russian skaters into their team so that they can then compete at internationals and worlds.
Have they not enough numbers then?
I think they have ambition. Hungary have done this with ice dance. They've done it with single skaters as well. They've taken Russian skaters and allowed them to be rebadged as Hungarian. That was under the previous sport director, and there was a change. So there was a bit of a backlash from the Hungarian skaters and the parents, etc. And the policy was reversed. But this, there was an advert put out by them. I think it was even on Facebook.
Maybe it was in the Instagram post. Facebook. It must have been.
Oh
No, it definitely wasn't Instagram because I don't use Instagram. I think it was on Facebook.
Okay.
Wow.
Blown our minds here.
There you go. Okay. So they are very ambitious, and of course, you've got the American team, but both American teams. Haydenets, I think they turned it around last year, and they're not going to want to let it go this year.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. But Nova will be trying hard from Canada, but Les Supreme are clearly above. And honestly, it depends who has the better skate on the day between
Unique and Les Supreme.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think they've got it in them to do it for a fourth year.
They rise to the occasion.
Yeah.
We've spoken about this. Like they have the mental.
Yeah. For Team Unique, it's going to be the pressure of the crowd and the home rink and everything.
But remember, the Finns have that pressure just to get to Worlds. Yeah. They've got that domestic pressure. Mm. Now there's 4 teams in Finland. 4, going up there.
You look at Rockets every year now. They always kind of just make a little mistake at the final hurdle, don't they? And it's like you watch them just lose that medal, the gold medal, and it's hard to watch because I think you're right. Les Supremes are winning it, obviously through skill, but through that mental game and capacity.
They're on it. They're absolutely on it. Mm. But also with Roquettes, the programs that Kaiser puts together are really interesting. I think Uniques has the edge this year, but again, it's not going to take much.
It's going to be so close.
Mm-hmm.
Do you
Anyone's
think their
game.
edge has anything to do with having Anu involved as well?
Anu has such a great feeling for the sport.
Yeah.
Sometimes I would say sometimes Anu's programs were a little light. Almost not serious, too jokey. I didn't like the jokey things. But she also came up with some when they did the program for the Finnish anniversary. But they had the white
and they had
dresses
the
with the blue. Oh,
cross.
she did. That was a stonking, really memorable program.
Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful piece of work. And I think
Do you know?
for her going to work with you, I think that's a really powerful combination. Miro is she's slightly insane, but I love her because she's crazy, but I love the craziness. She is so inspiring.
Mastermind. She's an absolute
Oh,
mastermind.
and she's so inspiring with the skaters and what she brings in terms of her personal enthusiasm, and her own vision of what she's trying to create. It's lovely to see this because for a while she was always kind of ending up in third, always ending up sort of never getting it. But now it's come through, and I'm really, really pleased for her. Because love the craziness.
We spoke to Tulia, Team Unique ex-captain, and she just couldn't speak any higher of Miru.
Oh no, me too. And I've had Miru, I've had Kaisa, Anu, and Miru all over to work at our coaches' conventions because I have the highest regard for all three of those ladies. They're great.
So we've talked a lot about where the sport has been and where it is going now. Now we just want to ask a little bit more about where do we think it's headed even further now. I mean, we've kind of already again talked about like shape formations and the individual technical skills that are now being required, but how much further do you think we're going to go?
It can improve significantly. We were on a path for really strong improvement of the basic skating in order to get things like the step series called, and they've removed step series, which I think is a retrograde step, because people don't then need the same quality of basic skating. You don't have to execute correctly. It just has to be recognizable, and I think that is, I think that's just bollocks. If you're going to do the turn,
agree.
it has to be. It doesn't have to be on hugely deep edges. Because ice dance is a bit guilty at the moment of not giving the calls because somebody's boots not almost touching the ice. That's not a correctly executed turn. A correctly executed turn is when you're on the correct edge and you have a clean turn and you're exiting on the correct edge. That's what we should be looking for. Because it was considered to be too difficult for some teams and they wanted to make it easy. So you end up, don't have a technical panel then, just have a judging panel. Don't bother. Because it's supposed to be an equal contribution in this ISU, IJS system. We are not supposed to dumb down for teams. You want teams to work up to achieve. And if most of the teams aren't achieving level 4 on a pivoting block, that's not wrong. Because if that's the highest level that you have, then why should you expect every team in the world to be able to get a level 4? Life's not like that. If people are running the 100 meters, they don't call it the 100 meters. And then for some people, they move the finishing tape to 90 meters or to 75 meters. Everybody has to run the 100 meters.
Very true.
And what we're doing is, just make it easier for the poor darlings. No, you need to give people, and if you give people things to strive for, I can say that a few years ago, the quality of turns was better than it is now.
Yeah, I agree.
So if we want to improve the overall quality of skating, improve the flow, and there's a difference between speed and flow. So understanding the dynamics of the strike, the blade, the knee action, the ankle action, the body position, the check, that's having to be demanded by better skating, better turns, better flow. That's what we should be demanding, not let's make it easier, because that's not going to achieve what we need if we still have the Olympic ambition.
What about elements wise? Is there anything crazy, or is
I
there
don't like
do you think
this open block is no. I think that
Is there anything you miss?
egg beater wheels, they were fun.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I haven't thought about them, and
They were fun. Some people are managing it now. We're getting some.
Yeah, you're seeing a few.
I
aren't
do
you?
like the interlocking in the traveling circles. I don't know what we can do with the intersection now, because people are just getting so good at the whips and so good at the angled intersections. We have to find some, but we don't want things that are dangerous.
no.
I remember seeing somebody's mouth getting torn open because they were doing back spirals through intersections, and a girl's face got caught with a blade and it ripped her mouth open.
Oh,
Believe it or not,
lovely.
the team doctor for the US was a plastic surgeon, and actually now you can't see the half of that girl, but lucky or what. However, but I never want things that are dangerous. Now, skating itself is a sport which is, if you were to write it down and explain it to somebody coming from Mars, they would think you were insane. You are on a surface that is intrinsically unstable. You're putting your feet into plaster casts and then putting a sharp piece of metal on the bottom of the foot, and you're expected to then perform. It's a stupid sport.
Sounds psychotic.
It's really, isn't it?
Yep, but we love it. So being able to build the skills and build the quality of skating, I really truly want to see a synchro team with exactly the same qualities as I see in an ice dance couple. So top 10 synchro teams to have the same quality of skating as the top 10 ice dance teams. And then the things that they will be able to do,
Beautiful.
I think the development of lifts, I think we will see some development of jump elements. Good for the public. Remember, we have to appeal to a television audience. It's important.
I feel like we all need to be coached by the Ice Academy of Montreal, Ice Dance Academy of Montreal.
I have quite close contacts with them, as you can imagine. So
Is that what?
Can we?
This will sign you up.
Can we all get coached by them, please? Yeah. Can I? Just for
I used
some
to be
fun.
over there, a couple of times a year, obviously monitoring our skaters. I used to work with some of the skaters who train there.
What they do is, I don't know what they have in their blood, but my God, it's...
Well, I know Judge Marie-France and Patrice was on when they were skating. And
they've just got it.
Yeah, but Roman Hagener is such an underrated coach and choreographer.
His choreography is
He's
insane.
been going for a long time, from when he was in Lyon. And he had Gabby and Guillaume, and he was their coach. But what they have is the team approach to coaching, and all of the people. I mean, the team that they have about 20 people on the coaching team now, between skating coaches, choreographers, dance, fitness, speed. So that they've got a whole group of, and they work as a collective, and they treat every couple as an individual. So it isn't, it isn't a sausage machine where they're all going in and coming out the same at the other end. Every couple's programs are different. The concepts, the approach, the style, they're all different.
Yeah.
Because
I think
they treat them like individuals.
Yeah. And the team coaching aspect, you can
They're
also see
collaborative,
that in
yes.
Synchro. Yeah, because like Teams Elite, for example, they've got 4 coaches.
Yeah.
And then Les Supreme, they've been winning 3 years. They've got, well, they're Ice Academy as well, but
3?
they've got 3 as they've got a team.
Yeah.
All the ones, well, now with Unique, they've got a team of coaches now. You can definitely see the results between the teams that have got one singular coach and a team working
We're
together.
asking for in Ice Dance, I can say at the moment, it's too much for any one person to deliver a competitive couple at a world level.
Yeah.
The demands are huge because you have to cover so many aspects. And it's the same for Synchro. The demands are so diverse. You need people with different talents to work together.
And every coach has a weakness or
that team together.
Yeah. That's very interesting. We've never really talked about that before.
Interesting. No, we haven't. We have like gone down so many paths in this episode that could be a whole episode.
But I told you I can talk about nonsense forever.
Okay, Chris, the question everyone wants to know: have you officially retired from judging / officially?
I have no choice.
Yeah.
The ISU has an official retirement age that when you are 70.
What, 45?
I already said that you can start to train at PS. You don't know. So the ISU's requirement is that we can no longer officiate at the championships and senior internationals beyond the age of 70.
What is
What
that?
about interclub?
Yeah, what does
Yes,
that mean?
no, I'm still, obviously I'm still doing, I just did Steel City. I could even do, for example, the non-ISU part of Mozart Cup, because I can still officiate up till I'm 75. I can officiate up to novice. So, for example, I do I can do international ice dance events, and up to novice, and international solo dance. Everything in solo dance, but ice dance up to novice.
Right.
And I do. So I was in Mezzaluna for the Italian competition for ice dance. So I was officiating there, and then doing the solo dance part as well. And I've just come back from Atlanta for the ISU International Solo Dance competition there, and heading off to Blackburn tomorrow morning, and then
Oh my goodness, we've kept you up.
going to Amsterdam on Friday for the Unicorns International Solo Dance competition.
Jet setter.
Well, no, it wasn't like last year. Last year was outrageous.
Being your last year.
So it was my farewell tour, and
Your own farewell tour.
from the
So you've
second week of
retired but
August,
haven't retired at the same time.
second week of August till after Worlds in Zagreb. I was at an event every week other than the week between Christmas and New Year.
Oh my gosh.
But no, this year hasn't been quite as busy, but still busy-ish. Now solo dance is taking off, so I'm doing a lot of international solo dance competitions. But still doing synchro, so I can do interclub. I can do obviously all our domestic stuff here as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
It feels like our next question is like,
semi-retired, but retired. I can't do championships anymore.
Yeah.
And
Are you going to this year's Worlds?
I don't know yet. Maybe.
TBC.
Interesting. TBC. Okay.
The other thing is I'm also a student, so I have some university commitments that.
I did read that you're doing your PhD or something?
Yeah, I'm doing a doctorate. Yeah.
Doctorate?
In what?
Do you want me to read the title?
Yes,
I'd love that.
absolutely.
So, Chris, we don't usually have many men on the podcast.
You want my title then now?
No, we do. But let me just say, we normally call them girl bosses. I'm not sure what we're going to call you, but I'm going to call you a girl boss.
A what?
A girl boss. So it means you're like just incredible, basically. But I don't know what the male version of that is.
Okay.
He's too shocked to speak. He's got nothing.
Go on, tell us your
Right,
title.
it is the association between good governance and success, redefining and measuring governance and success for sports governing bodies.
Ooh,
There you go.
Wow.
that is
I
very
get it
interesting.
right.
So is that you've used all of your experience and knowledge with working through skating, pretty much?
Well,
in
not
that
just
governing?
skating, because I was involved in karate at the same sort of, world level as well. So I've got experience on both in two different sports.
That is so rogue.
So I'm
Karate.
why?
Just they're so
How?
different.
Yeah.
Well, no, you would be surprised. You'd be surprised how many similarities there are.
I feel like
Chris, we need to get you on for a whole new episode.
But I've been doing and teaching karate for nearly 50 years.
holy moly. That's amazing.
So this makes our next question seem like I don't even like. We were going to ask you what's next for you in skating, but I'm maybe going to change it a little bit and say, are you going to try again for the Olympic dream?
It's not in my gift to do that. Well,
Okay.
it depends. Well, there's a slight opening of opportunity that is still kind of there.
Maybe that's a TBC
Wait.
then.
Does this have anything to do with being a president of the ISU? Because I know you had a bid for that.
Yeah, I did
couple years.
stand for president at one time. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's to do with it's to do with the ISU, but not president.
But
Because I'm too, for example, I'm too old for the committee, but I'm not too old for the council.
Oh, Chris, you're just an icon.
I think that's better than a boss. What?
Girl boss.
Yeah, I think we'll go for icon. I don't mind being an icon. I think
You're an absolute bloody
think-
icon. You're more
I
than
think
an
you're
icon.
overstating the case, however. But I think that's probably sits better with it.
He's happy with that.
Girl boss.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
But I mean, I'm still working, so I'm still like working.
Yeah. How do you fit it all in, really?
I'm a sad, lonely person who has no personal life at all. And people say to me, "Oh, yeah, but what about holidays things?" And people don't believe me when I say I haven't actually been on holiday since 1999.
Oh my gosh, skating
I
is
was
your
born.
holiday.
Yeah, it takes up all the time, and that's something that we're finding with new officials, that it's very difficult to get people who are prepared to commit now to that much time, giving that much of their lives.
What?
People can't afford it. So it used to be,
Yeah.
People could be an official, this is going to sound, and I am not, because people always say I'm not racist and then they say something racist, or I'm not sexist and they say something sexist. But I'm not sexist, but when it was much easier to get officials when people got married. A lot of women in skating would then, get married, not be working, have family, but they had time to judge or whatever else. Those days have gone because nowadays, economically, everybody has to work.
Can't. Yeah.
People don't have the luxury, and people don't frozen. I can hear you perfectly well.
Oh.
Oh, okay, fine. Alrighty then, Chris. We've done a whole deep dive. We've segued, we've tangent, we've whatever, but I loved it. We're going to end on our usual quick fire rounds. They're a personal favourite.
I thought I did one. I did one at the beginning.
Yeah, we got
You
another
did,
one.
but that was a
Oh,
special
that was
one
special
for
for me.
you.
Okay. I'm honoured. Yes.
This one, we ironically call it quick fire because we want it to be quick, but it never is because we've all got opinions that we just want to chat about. So go for it, Brie. You kick us off.
Alrighty. So just one of the two. You pick one. What's your favourite? Short or free programs?
Short.
I think, is he the first?
You're our first. You're our first short program person.
Because people have to be creative in a much shorter space of time, and we have more of an ability to compare the abilities of the team. That's a lot of abilities there, but there's more opportunity to compare the abilities of the team.
Yeah, no, I actually
like that.
very much agree with that. Okay, favourite element.
I know it's quick fire.
That's okay.
That's okay.
No hold.
Oh, that's such an ice dance answer.
I am an answer.
Funny that. Okay, spin or jump?
Spin.
Yeah.
Favourite turn.
Bracket
Oh,
Yeah.
is the one that gets
Really?
gets called least.
is it really?
Is that why you like it?
See, I'd have. Yeah.
People think counters are going to be the most difficult one, but they are.
Yeah.
Brackets don't get called very often at all. But I do love a good loop. But it has to be a proper, old-fashioned loop, not a snatched 3-turn.
Yes. Bring back the figures, the compulsory
Yes.
figures.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm on that train.
Okay. It's
Is
you,
it me?
Brie.
Oh, I'm looking at you.
It is you.
Do we do...
Oh.
Yeah.
Judged.
Okay.
No, because
Yeah, your favourite program that you've ever judged?
Team Paradise shot program to Whitney Houston.
someone said that last week.
Yeah, that's what we had last week too.
Yeah.
20,
Beautiful program.
was it 2011? No.
I think it was a little bit later
2014
than
it may have been.
Yeah, more like 14.
that. Something like that. Yeah, 13, 14, I want to say. Okay, finally then. Favourite programme of all time?
That one. It doesn't. So what was the previous question supposed to be?
So normally we asked a favourite programme you've skated.
Oh, no, well, I didn't skate
So-
synchro apart from doing the charity exhibition.
Exactly.
Do you have
So,
a favourite ice dance program you ever skated?
oh, that's a good
Throwback?
To there was a free dance I did to waltz music. To Rachmaninoff as well.
Okay, just a real rogue one for the ice dance fans out there then. What is your favourite ice dance programme of all time that you've watched?
I think it was Klimova Ponomarenko, and they skated to the Wedding March.
Ah.
Not. Maybe we should go do some research.
Yeah,
and
I
watch
think
that
we
then,
do.
hey, Brie?
We're not ice dance nerds, so we're going to have to go and Google that one.
No. Well, on that note, and as we hurry off to go do some little research, and I know Brie will say the same, want to just say thank you, Chris. It has been an
Yes.
absolute pleasure
Fabulous.
to deep dive into Synchro with
Everything.
you and your many, many years, I won't put a number on it, of knowledge. So thank you very much for coming on the podcast.
You're very welcome.
It's been fabulous. Alrighty.
It has, Brie. Shall we close
I
off
think that's it for
episode
this week.
19?
Yeah. It's crazy. 19. Next one's 20. Oh my gosh.
Oh, we're
maybe-
having a break for the next week, aren't we?
Yes, we are.
We're going to enjoy Senior Worlds all together and not do a podcast. So enjoy it, watch it. Good luck to all the teams competing.
And then we will
And then we're going to review it.
return with our review and hopefully another interview. So we shall see.
Yeah.
All right.
Exciting.
Thanks, guys. Thank you for listening. Lots of love. The
Synchro Skaters Club. Bye.
Amazing.
Well done.